Yeah. Turn it up just a little. Name ring out, you know the credentials. Welcome to the
Nothing Personal podcast. We're back with Derrick Fleming. And now the finale is over. The reunion show, big news.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
How you feel, man?
I feel good, man. I feel good. It's been like some constant anxiety, I would say, through the whole process.
Okay.
But it's been good emotion. I haven't been catching a lot of heat, like in a negative way. So that's been good. Because you never know.
Yeah, I'm catching that. You don't have to
I know.
worry about
I know.
Yeah,
that was actually what I was kind of getting to right there when I made that statement,
So listen, now that we we saw the finale, is there anything, and first off, I always like to start off the question, what do you think, if there's anything, about you and Pfeiffer as a couple that was missed or maybe misunderstood from the broadcast?
I think it goes in line with obviously the age, because there's so much editing. And when you have like those real deep conversations about what next steps look like, or are we just even aligned outside of this experience?
Right.
That doesn't really make good TV.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Right.
But that's actually what leads to what you see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what leads to the commitment ceremony. That's what leads to me even offering my key for her to come to my place, right? Or to come to Dallas, us having those conversations, because we had those boring, for TV conversations that they just decided that it's not really good for TV, which I get it, because it's ratings and a lot of things that I don't know.
Right.
But that's the part I wish that people could at least see, because when you're dealing with that age gap, people, that connotation that comes with it, I need those conversations to be out there so people can see things through my eyes and say, you know what? Okay, cool. We kind of understand why he chose to give this relationship a chance.
Right. And I think that one thing that people don't really get a chance to see is they just see this expedited connections with these couples. And, I know, obviously I experienced it. And then they see you in this Vancouver project, as far as you're in this apartment. But what they don't realize is there's a lot of time that goes into that, a lot of times and a lot of conversations that get you those places, right?
Absolutely. Because on the front end, we talked about this when we first got to Whistler. When they explained that to us about moving in, what this experience would naturally evolve into, we were like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not moving in with somebody, because we know, things that are dear to us, and living with somebody is a big step, even if it's for a couple weeks. And you don't just do that with anybody. So to think that I can meet somebody within a couple weeks and say, you know what, let's try it and live together. That wasn't something we were comfortable with on the front end. So to your point, there's definitely a lot of conversations and things that happen between that process. Right. I would call it like just an expedited process, right? Right. Expedited dating process, and us getting to know them to where we were even comfortable to even go through with it.
Right. I think one thing is, so it's a great polarizing topic. It's a great social experiment, but it's also not real, because in the sense of, you're being thrown with this person, kept on dates, kept apart, and then thrown into Vancouver and doing something you would never absolutely do after, a few dates with a person or spending this little bit of time with them, to be, immediately living with them. That is not something that you would normally do. So it's normal, but it's not normal. Was it a big, so you going into Vancouver and having that experience, was that a lot for you?
It was a big deal, major. Okay. I know certain things about myself, like, we'll say the small things. I'm OCD. Like, I like things clean in a certain way. Help my 5-year-old can't even walk around the house without cleaning up behind itself. You know what I mean? So those are small things, that his shoes on the floor. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And those are like, that's something small, but you think about that. Whoa, all right, these are some of the things that maybe she may think are quirky. Mm-hmm. Maybe she may think are weird about me. And then, what will I think is weird and quirky that will take away from my attraction from her, to where it stalls this whole relationship out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
maybe if we were able to go through a normal dating process and not expedite this,
Right.
then I would see some of those things. Maybe I'll have a sleepover, she'll have a sleepover,
Right.
and then we'll see like, hey, this doesn't really work for me,
Right.
and we'll be able to make those adjustments, those natural adjustments. But now we just have to jump in, like we got to start swimming,
Right.
you know, in the middle of the ocean together. So that within itself, I think where I found some solace in it was, I feel this way. It's unnatural, but so does she.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we'll make it work together.
Well, one of the things I applaud all the couples, and I think that all of the couples were very courageous in this experiment that we went through, because, you know, in the world, if you're dating somebody, you go on a couple of dates, 2-3 dates, and you're trying to figure out whether you like them. People are ghosting all the time. They stop right then. Okay, we're going through this process. Then we have to live with them. Right. And the world is expecting us, you can't break up. Why would you break up? They're all in our business.
Right.
When every day you break up with people all the time and not live with them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's crazy that like everybody's on you. Like, and speaking from someone who crashed out and didn't go with y'all.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
To your point, like about that. So what happened with you? That was a normal disagreement.
Yes.
That was a normal, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And kind of what I was saying before, if you had the normal dating experience timeline, you'll be able to have these conversations.
Yes.
You would have had a sleepover
Yes.
to where you would have been able like, yo, I don't really rock like that. Let's change some stuff up
Right.
if we're going to make this work, right?
Right.
So now you have the pressure of moving in with someone, and then you have to learn what makes them tick, what makes you
Right.
tick, and all those, you know what I'm saying? All that unnecessary pressure,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say. And then you just have what I really truly saw, and I think a lot of people saw is, yeah, I mean, all right, they having a disagreement about this, but this is not worth breaking up over.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you should be able to sit down and come to some type of understanding about it, but because of the circumstance we were put in,
Right.
that pressure,
Right.
it busts pipes, you know?
It does. And, you know, and so the other thing is, and that's a very good thing, because in my situation, I still don't think like two, you know, disagreement on two things, you don't break up over that. I think you sit down and talk like two mature adults and
sure.
get through it. We didn't.
sure.
But see, the other thing that people don't realize is we're being followed around by camera, with cameras in our face.
Yeah.
We mic'd
Mic'd
up
all day.
all day, mic'd
and
in the
night.
bedroom, and mic so that a relationship is difficult in and of itself.
Yes.
But when you put the mic, the camera, the living there, all those situations, all those parameters on you, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yes.
So I mean, you know, the crash outs, like luckily, you know, the other couples, none of y'all crashed out like we did, and I thought ours was unfortunate. But the good thing is that y'all were able to have some stick-to-itiveness and go through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to address, since you know we got last time we talked up to before I crashed out, of course. But then y'all went on to see the friends and family. Now here's something else. Now that's a whole nother curveball, because now when you start bringing people's friends and family, once again, in the real dating world, you wouldn't see them for a long time.
Right.
But here you are thrown in the midst with her parents, and she sees your cousin.
Right.
How did that feel? How did that go down?
So it's definitely unnatural
Okay.
because you're still figuring each other out. And what you want to show in that instance is a unified front. And it's hard to do when you don't know everything about this person.
That's true.
Right. So for me as a man, there was a scene before Pfeiffer's parents came out, and I like tried to pull her closer to me. She's like, nah, like, you know,
I saw that.
You saw that, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, damn.
I was like, what's up with that?
Like, what's really good with that?
Tell
But-
me the tea, bro.
Right.
Come on. What's going on?
Like, what are we doing? So that's a learning moment for both of us. For me, I protect my woman who I'm with in any circumstance. So I'm looking at it as, all right, I see you're visibly uncomfortable with what's going on. Come here, get closer to me. Let me just let some of the confidence I have spill over to you, and we're gonna be good. For Pfeiffer, it's nah, give me my space. You know what I'm saying? And I'm uncomfortable. Like, this is how I want to deal with it.
Right.
If we had the normal dating timeline, then I would know, all right, you know what? Let her kind of breathe it out. It's not for me to pull her closer because maybe I'm making it worse. I don't know, you know, exactly what was going on in her head at that moment. But that was just like an example for everybody to see, like, yeah, they're still learning each other.
Right.
They don't know what makes each other completely comfortable in an uncomfortable situation that they're about to have to go through.
We're going to jump all into the tea, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
okay, so you
No
go through that, right? And once again, unnatural because you're not you wouldn't normally just meet the parents after dates and you wouldn't be living in them. So
Right.
you meet the parents after you and Pfeiffer do the friends and family thing. How was your relationship at that point?
It was good. I feel like it was a relief for Pfeiffer
Okay.
after that happened. At least for a day, and see what people don't understand. What we went through is a day. When I say a day, that's like 2 months.
Right.
Right. So they don't get that part. So for a day, she was like, okay, that's over.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can breathe again. We got through that part. And then the next day, 2 months later, it was, oh shit, I'm thinking about moving to Dallas.
Right.
So then now the next pressure comes on, so we're having to again expedite all these steps, everything that would happen, if it was a normal environment, it would probably take a year or two to happen. We have to do it in 2 weeks.
True.
So for a day, it was cool, good night. I could sense it from her that she felt at ease, at peace. And then we started to come up on the commitment ceremony. The tension started to, started to rise again. And you see that kind of play out.
So when you and Pfeiffer were talking about her moving to Dallas, that was prior to the commitment ceremony. Y'all had that conversation,
Yeah,
right?
we
Okay.
did.
Okay. And so did you feel convicted that, okay, yeah, she can move to Dallas and be a part of my life? Is that what you felt?
So that's a good question. So I don't know that I necessarily thought that Pfeiffer truly was taking in everything that meant. Moving to Dallas, because moving to Dallas also means being responsible with me as a parent. You're not replacing my boys' moms, but you're going to be involved because I'm
100%.
extremely involved in my boys' life. So it's not just moving. And also for her, while she's trying to figure out her life, figure out careers, or starting a new career at that time, at least in my understanding, she was, does that travel? Are you going to start completely over? Your friend groups. These are things that I'm taking into consideration because obviously I have the experience, right, on the front end. And I know you and I talk about it. I knew that things would eventually, that they will work out.
Right.
And there would be some hard times. So it was more so for me, my perspective was, we'll get through it because there's certain things that I appreciate about you that I think we'll get through these hard times because it's going to be hard.
Right.
On the front end, I think that Pfeiffer was looking at it as like, yeah, let's do it. Forget it. Let's go to Dallas and okay. And and so when I'm like, I have my son, she was like, okay. And I'm like,
So
my
do
age.
you think now, do you think her age played a part there? Her inexperience?
I do, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely played a part.
So, all right. So now you get to the commitment ceremony. Was there any angst? Was there any anxiety as to maybe she might not say yes?
A little because, man, I'll be real with you. It was angst for both of us.
Okay.
I didn't voice it as much because that's just my personality. I'm so about showing up as a leader and being strong, but I had question marks as well. That I didn't really disclose.
Okay.
To like, hey, I could actually veer a different direction.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I held that to myself, and I wanted to make sure I showed up. I wanted to make sure I showed up for her prior to us having to separate before the commitment ceremony.
Right.
But I had question marks because that's a lot of responsibility, and it wasn't that I doubted her as a person. I doubted if she understood the level of responsibility that she would be, accountable for.
So once again, maybe her age.
Her age played a factor there.
Okay.
So so with her, we had prior conversations. We being real now. I felt like I knew where her head was, but a lot of it also was her age because I'm like, I don't know that she fully understands. So what again, like I said, what all comes with this move, what all comes with you completely changing your, uprooting your life and what to be comfortable now. So
I think that, so one of the things, and it's funny that you're addressing it, and I'm going to keep on this line, but
Sure.
people seem to think when they see age of attraction, they're going to say, hey, well, that's because Derrick shouldn't be with a young woman. The fact is, what we're saying, and then you speak to this, I think that age isn't a defining factor in meeting and connecting with someone. Now, it will definitely factor into your relationship, but that's no different than any other factors that a person may bring to the table with you, right?
Right.
That's what I believe. But I think that it is definitely a factor, but it's not a defining factor in whether or not you should be together. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So let me take it a step further.
Go ahead.
All right. So for you to have those conversations, I think both parties have to be completely honest
Yes.
with themselves, with who they are, and they have to be completely honest with you. Pfeiffer, when she was there and the experience, and you see it on TV, she shows a level of maturity for her age. That's
She
great,
does.
right?
Pfeiffer is an outstanding
Right,
young woman.
extremely intelligent person as well. I think that maybe us together, that cohesive unit, started to maybe propel her in a different direction than where she is now, right? A level of maturity, because like I said earlier, a lot of these conversations that y'all don't see on screen, they come out in different ways. You know what I mean? So you see that level of maturity. Now, you change the environment, people that you're around, your influences, then you either revert back or you become something else.
So do you think that Pfeiffer, it was a lot for her and maybe she didn't understand how much it was for her to come in and you have two young children and she has to deal with your life and moving to another city and uprooting her life. So you feel like maybe her inexperience, she didn't realize the depth of how real it was?
Absolutely. I don't, how could she? Think about it, man.
Right. That's a lot.
That's a
It's
lot.
Put on a young woman.
And you're in a bubble.
Yes.
Like you're staying, it's just me and you.
Right.
So no matter how many pictures I show you of my son, and hey, this is what my life is like in Dallas, all you've seen Derrick in Whistler and in Vancouver,
Right.
living with you. You've not seen me have to get up and go take my son to school.
Right.
Take him to
That's a
practice. You haven't seen me have to interact with their moms.
That's a lot.
Any of those things. So regardless of my words, you just see the actions. And you know what? You're like, you know what? This works. So if I tell you something different, you're like, you know what? We'll make that work, because all I know is what I visibly see
Right.
and what we're
Right.
doing every day. So I'm gonna just lean on that right now.
Right. So to her credit, she was attempting it, but you think her inexperience may not have known what it really
Exactly.
was
What she was
about.
tackling. She didn't completely get it.
So I have a question that I wanted to ask and watching is that, so do you think if it would have been one of those things where you say, hey, Pfeiffer, you stay in Seattle and we'll just do a long distance thing, do you think that would have led to less pressure?
I think it would have led to less pressure. I still think ultimately we would have ended the relationship.
And let's talk about that, because you end up, now we know, you and Pfeiffer break up.
Right.
So how long after the show did y'all break up?
About 3-4 weeks. It wasn't that long.
Was it disappointing for you?
It was disappointing. It was disappointing because she came to Dallas about a week after the show, and we spent some time together, for my birthday.
Okay.
She was like, hey, I'm flying myself out. But I also saw some signs there as well.
What do you mean? What signs?
My life was very different than what she was, accustomed to.
So she got a very good picture of what your life really
like.
was.
Right.
Okay.
Now, she didn't get a picture of like the side of me being a father, right?
Okay.
Like that was different. But like where I live, the restaurants and things that I like, classy stuff, man. It's my birthday, right? Like I want to have a good time. Some of this stuff was probably new to her and probably uncomfortable. And also my friend group, right? Like I don't surround myself with people that don't pour into me. And, so these are probably people, I'm not, again, knocking her fingers, but these are probably people that she probably hasn't been exposed to.
Right.
Right. So some of those conversations may have been foreign to her. Right. So, but I think, here's the thing that was disappointing. When we were in Vancouver, when she had this initial, I would say the initial breakdown about like, oh shit, I'm moving to Dallas. I don't know. I'm uprooting my life and all that.
Right.
And I told her about the piece, right? And whatever, Netflix for editing that and making it seem like I was selfish, because I meant for both of us to be at peace. But I I knew then that that conversation would be revisited multiple times
Right.
if she were to move.
Right.
So the only thing I told her then, I'm like, hey, it's okay if this comes up again. Just make sure you talk to me, because I'm knowing that she's going back to her, environment, to where what you're doing in the first place is already crazy.
Right.
Much less, you actually going to move. So rather than gaining wisdom from those influences
Mm-hmm.
that have absolutely, they have no idea what your experiences are,
Mm-hmm.
and what your real expectations, at least what you perceive to me to be
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship, ultimately what you want. Since they don't truly understand that, come to me first.
Right.
And let's talk about it. It may be, and that conversation may have been, hey, you know what? This has been great. Love the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. I learned some things. I hope you learned some things from me. But this is where we part ways. That may have been the conversation.
But you wanted the opportunity.
I wanted to have that conversation,
So-
right, with her.
Go
But
ahead.
when she called, and I'm not, and you call and you've already made decisions. I'm not like, well, hold on, let's backtrack. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
And it was, honestly, brother, it was a 5-minute, 10-minute conversation.
So I think that and I'm going to address that, because I think this is something for all the couples. People don't realize, they're like, oh, well, you should stand there and fight. You should fight and fight. Well, first of all, let me make sure you understand something. We've dated this person not for a long period of time. Now, it seems relationally because we have more time to spend with them. Right. It's not that long period of that time. And ultimately, you want to respect this person's choices, because
Right.
now you're out the bubble
For
and
sure.
you're in real world, right?
Right, yeah.
So I think that that's something that's misunderstood. Now, you did feel, now I want to address this. You were, now I want to say hurt, but it did bother you that y'all broke up.
It bothered me. It bothered me. I developed real feelings for her.
Okay.
We had this experience, and I was open-minded to it, and I still am appreciative of what I learned from the experience that I had with her.
Mhm.
So yeah, there was some disappointment there.
Now, I have to keep with nothing personal, but at the reunion show, they bring out that, hey, she's not here. She was not there. She was on a birthday trip, I believe, to Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Natalie throws a little shade in there and says, yeah, she's with her new boyfriend. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. And, shout out to Pfeiffer, because I have nothing but love for her. I think she's an amazing woman. But Natalie threw a little shade in there. Did that bother you?
Nah, I didn't. Honestly,
Okay.
it really didn't, because Pfeiffer and I talked.
Okay.
Like, man, look, we talked about this last time. It was like, when you go through a relationship, that experience, when people come out of it and all of a sudden they hate the person, like it's a waste
bullshit.
of time. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not that way. Regardless of the end game and what happened with us, I'm appreciative the same of that experience as if we were together or we're not.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
going to knock it. What we went through, that was a lot.
Right.
That was a lot packed in. So I'm appreciative of it. I learned from it. I hope she did too.
Mhm.
So no, it wasn't a knock. Honestly, I'm happy for her. If I'm being real with you,
That part.
I want her to be happy. So
part.
I hope they're having an amazing time.
Right. I mean, Pfeiffer is an amazing woman, and
She
y'all had an
is.
amazing connection.
is.
I thought it was really genuine.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that it didn't work, but relationships all the time don't work. So,
right.
I think
And
the
it
people have to
it
understand
doesn't
that.
make it a bad relationship.
Right.
It just
right.
makes it a learning experience for you to grow.
Right.
Both of you to grow.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap it up and say, I know you have a Botox appointment. Nothing personal. Derrick does not, by the way, does not use Botox. We don't think so. But no, Derrick has an amazing skill. He has amazing skincare. But
What do
and
I
he drinks,
do? What
he
do I
drinks
do?
4 gallons of water
I was
a day.
about to say, what do I do all
I
the
give him that
time?
credit. Okay,
All right.
I'm not drinking water. He drinks 4 gallons of water a day. Okay, I get it. I
Literally.
get it. I get
Literally.
teacher's pet. But hey, I had to say nothing personal.
I get it. Whatever.
Thanks for being here,
Whatever.
Derrick.
All right, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Love here, 'cause it's nothing personal. All right, let's get into it. Nothing personal.